Thank you, everybody. This is Gail Sturdivant, Chair of the Transportation Advisory Committee. I'd like to call this meeting to order at 1:32 p.m. I apologize if looks like there were two different Teams links, one that was in the invite and one that gets a meeting invitation through Outlook. We're going to give it just a few moments here as we go through introductions to make sure we get everyone on board. And then if you could help me make sure that we have a quorum, please, Jared. I would appreciate that. For introductions, as I said, I'm Gail Sturdivant, Chair of the TAC. I'm also City Engineer and Deputy Public Works Director for the City of Colorado Springs. Going around the folks that are in the room.
Lan Rel, Acting Transit Services Manager, MMT.
Jason Dosh, Public Works Supervisor, Town of Palmer Lake.
John Marie Santos, PPACG.
Jess Bechtel, PPACG. And Danelle Miller, PPACG.
Jeff Manchester, El Paso County.
Thanks, Jeff. I'm just going to go down through the list as I see them on Teams, just have folks introduce themselves. Becky?
Good afternoon, Becky Frank, Green Mountain Falls.
Okay. Allison?
Allison Burns, MMT, Grants Analyst.
Great. Aaron? It appears that Aaron Busto from FHWA is on. Darren? Okay. Jeff?
I'm here. Jeff Manchester, he's here.
No, I'm talking Jeff. I'm sorry, Jeff Guthrie.
Oh, sorry.
Sorry. I'm skipping
Jeff
over you, Jeff
Eoff.
Manchester. All right. Jared is our administrator, Jeff Manchester. Kathleen?
I'm here, CDOT, statewide and regional planning.
All right. Thank you. Lachelle?
Hi, Lachelle Davis, CDOT Local Agency.
Laura?
Laura Cruz, Mobility Coordinator for PPACG.
Okay. Matt Pettit?
Good morning, or good afternoon, Matt Pettit, CDOT Local Agency.
All right. Phil?
Hi, Phil Von Hake, CDOT Multimodal Planning.
Great. Thank you. Rob?
Hello, Rob Fry, CDOT, Region Planning Environmental.
Perfect. Tim?
Tim Roberts, State of Colorado Springs Traffic Engineering.
All right. Victoria?
Victoria Chavez, El Paso County.
Did I miss anyone that joined while we were going through and doing introductions?
Yeah, sorry, Ben Schmitz here from City of Woodland Park.
Okay, so we got Ben and then Sheila, I think. Okay, and then Sheila is here in the room with us, it appears. All right, moving on. So I hope everyone had the opportunity to review the agenda. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agenda, or if there's any modifications to it, please state so.
This is Jason. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
All right, thank you.
This is Ben Schmidt. I second that.
All in favor, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. All right, the agenda is approved as published. I now like to open it up to public comment for items that are not on the agenda. Jared, has anyone signed up to speak?
Madam Chair, no one online has indicated they want to speak or submit any comment ahead of time.
Great. I'll open up. Anyone in the room have any comments for anything not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to the approval of minutes. Again, I hope everyone had the opportunity to approve the minutes from the, approve the minutes from the January 19th meeting. To review the minutes, and if so, if someone could provide a motion to approve the minutes as published.
Victoria, so moved.
This is Jason. I'll second.
Great. All in favor of approving the minutes as published, say aye.
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 All opposed, say nay. All right, great. The minutes pass as published. Board of Directors report, Mr. Leosados.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. As far as transportation items go, we just had the CDOT information item on the performance measures. It went to them this time as information, and it will go back to them. Hopefully, we can put that on the consent agenda to speed up the meetings a little bit because we're trying to get them done faster. But it might be an action item for, it might actually be on the full agenda for all I know. And I believe that was it for the transportation items. Anybody else seem to remember anything? I know I was up there for a little bit talking about stack and also for legislative, but I think transportation related, that this was pretty much it.
Okay, great. John, I do have one question for you. Could you remind us just a general high-level timeline for the 2050 long-range transportation plan update?
So for the 2050 plan, the last plan, as it was wrapping up, we were deemed to be in attainment. Now, I don't think CDOT went ahead and filed all the proper paperwork, but that being said, we did receive a letter from FHWA that they considered us to be in attainment. So instead of a 4-year timetable, that allowed us to move to a 5-year timetable. So the last one was adopted in January of 2020, right before the pandemic. So it has to be good luck. So that means we have to have our next plan adopted by January of 2025. We are shooting within our time frame, and Danelle is grabbing the reins of the LRTP airplane and steering us there, so she can add to this if I get it wrong. But we're shooting for December of 2024, realizing that we have all these sort of GHG sort of reports and things that we've got to do beforehand. So we're really sort of going to be starting in earnest this particular in 2023. We've got the freight study, the alternate modes, what do you call it? Active transportation plan that are going to be done here in 23. We have a agreement with CDOT for them to provide us with some toll credits. So we should be bringing on a public involvement consultant. And I think for that particular consultant, one of the big things is going to be a survey of folks. It's not going to be statistically valid, more probably an online web survey. And when we did the 2045 LRTP, we relied heavily on citing a survey results that had actually been done in 2010. So we don't want to do that again. We want to have some fresh data that we can rely back to. Additionally, in the coming year, we're working with our partners at MMT to kick off the long-range transit plan, as well as the specialized human services plan. And I think we've changed names. So Laura, if you want to turn on your mic and correct me, I think we're not calling it that anymore, but it's basically the specialized services sorts of things. So did I miss anything, Danelle, as far as timeline? And so then we also received from CDOT some money to update our model, and Will is working with our consultant PVT at this time to get that working. I think we finally got approval from everybody at CDOT, so they're under contract. And then there was also some toll credit money that has not worked its way through the process quite yet, but Kathleen's working on that, and which we really appreciate, to identify sort of the land use. In years past, we used Urban Sim to do the land use portion of the that's required for the model, where you take sort of the land use component as well as the sort of distribution of population component, and you sort of mix them together. Those are things that are required by the feds. And so we used Urban Sim in the past, and we're going to use this $100,000 to make our commercial side of the model a little more robust. So I know Will's not by a microphone, but I'm just looking to see if he gives me the evil eye. Nope, he gave me a little smile, so I'm good. And so with that, I think that's everything. And Laura, did I call the specialized plan by its correct new name?
Yes, that works. It just fulfills the coordinated human service transportation plan, but specialized transit plan is shorter.
Yeah, I was so close. Anyway, so with that, happy to answer any additional questions. And again, Danelle's going to sort of be your main point person for all of those things moving forward. And as she's moving over to take over that airplane, Jessica's got the tip airplane, and we'll keep both noses up and out of the water.
Okay, great. Thank you. I think it would be great under our informational items if we can just have a standing agenda item to just to give us an update where we are progressing for that. And if there's things that we as the local jurisdictions need to add or participate in, that gives us a heads up to do so. So
Yes, we can definitely do that. And Danelle, if you don't mind, I'll also add one more thing. Because of the GHG that I had mentioned, in the past, PPACG was a maintenance region for attainment, right? So we had gone into non-attainment and we were in maintenance. So that's sort of the purgatory where you get a lot of the regulations and not a lot of the money. So, but we finally got out of that, and now we're in attainment. So the rules are a little different. But if we were in non-attainment, there would have been a requirement for us to, from the federal perspective, has nothing to do with the state. They would have said, hey, we need to understand your numbers for it's not CO, it's the other one. It's ozone or whatever you were in the non-attainment for. And we would have had to do the projects in basically 10-year bands, 10-year bands to sort of say, as we model this, we're still in attainment. As we model this, we're still in attainment. And if you look at the North Front Range or Dr. Cog models, they sort of have their projects banded within early, middle, late, or first 10 years, second 10 years, third 10 years sorts of things. That's something we didn't have to do. Just to give everyone a heads up, as we move into the 2050 long-range plan and we get to the point where we start asking you all for projects or to update the information on your existing projects that are already in the long-range plan, we're going to need to ask that you put those projects in a as realistic expectation as possible into 5-year plans. So the first 5 years is going to be our existing tip. And then after that, it'll be 25 to 2030, 31 to 35, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason for that is the state GHG. So that will allow Will to sort of have that ability to grab those projects, put them in the model, and then model it for the years that the state says we need to show compliance. If we lump them all together like we used to do, we wouldn't make the first year because all of the projects would appear. By spacing them out in these bands, we're able to only model what we think is going to actually happen within, again, was it 2035, 2040, and 2050? I'm getting the little smile from Will, so I got those dates right. So that will be sort of the thing. So it's something extra that we're going to ask you all to do. So heads up, but hopefully to sort of offset that, we will have the ecosys, the same folks that do our TIP database. We have purchased a long-range plan module. So all of the projects can be in there, so you don't have to sort of retype everything and do it. And in addition, this is where I'm going to hand it off to Danelle because I don't know as much as she does. We've had a contract extension with the Olson who did the CMP. Go ahead.
Yes, so I mentioned this at last month's TAC, and Rachel from Olson may have contacted you. Olson is going to do a validation of the scoring methodology that we put together for the CMP by applying that to existing LRTP projects. And hopefully that'll all save us some time in the end and also help us to make any tweaks to the scoring system now that need to be made as we move forward.
Perfect. Yes, I do recall you saying that. Thank you. So I think knowing that we're going to have some homework to go and do in the future, again, if we can just have this as an update, and then as you start laying things out, if we have a few months notice on when you're going to be expecting those projects, so that those banded projects, I'm sure we all need as much of a heads up as possible to provide those to you. So thank you. All right. Anything else, John? All right. All right. I will say, just for the record, we did have another voting member, Dole from Manitou Spring, join us. Dole, if you'd like to introduce yourself.
Dole Rubenik, City Engineer for Manitou Springs.
Great. thank you. Moving on to the action items, the first thing is the fiscal year 23 to 27 Transportation Improvement Program Amendment number 6. Now,
Yes, thank you. So this TIP amendment came about because there was some funding returned to PPACG from Mountain Metro Transit. We've put out a notice of funding availability per the guidance of the TAC and received those applications back. There was a workshop earlier this month to select those projects that would receive this amount of funding. And that is what we are asking for your recommendation of approval today. I would be happy to walk through those projects with you if you'd like. However, since we did just do a workshop like last week, if you're happy with the information that was provided at that workshop, I won't delve into that amount of detail.
okay, great, thank you. Any questions or comments by members of the TAC?
I do, if it's okay. So Gail, you brought up a good point during that presentation that the money we requested for what we call our transit hub is federal MMOF money, and talking amongst ourselves internally, we would rather not federalize that project. So I have an email in, and we haven't had a chance to talk yet, but and then in talking with PPRTA, I didn't know if there was a chance for us to give up that multimodal funds to an agency that can easily use the money, and then for them to give us the equivalent in PPRTA funds. Little
Well,
swap.
the first part of it is you can give up the money. I don't know if you can swap other monies for that. That's a different.
They're unrelated as far as the committees would be concerned, but they would need to be like, because I chatted with our PPRTA today, and obviously you guys know, but those monies can be moved around as long as everyone approves it. So we still have a need for the money, but we would prefer to not have federal funds on that project. So
And that's
thank you.
just the transit hub.
Yeah, the
it's
other
not
one, we're
the-
good to go. We're going to put a TAP grant in for that. So we're going to federalize that job, no problem.
So
Okay.
we're talking about the $40,000 line item.
Yes, so at a minimum, Gail, I would move to amend that we take that out of the multimodal amendment, which would free those monies back up to the other projects. And if I remember correctly, 2 of those projects were, they could take as much that was left. And I think Mountain Metro was one of those agencies, so.
And as I recall, Mountain Metro gave up the $40,000 for you to have it
Correct.
when during that workshop. And they are probably the agency you would like to get other funding from.
Correct, so I'm going to give it right back to them.
Okay, Mr. Leosadas.
So I don't think I need to say this, but I feel compelled to say this. PPRTA and PPACG, while we were housed in the same building, and Rick Sonnenberg is a wonderful guy, and I always say hi to him.
We know all of this.
Okay.
Correct.
We are completely separate organizations.
When
Okay.
we had the pre-app or the discussion of it, Mountain Metro could use the federal funds and ask for as much as it was available. They did give some up for us to fund our project. Gail flagged the fact that it would federalize the project, which we're not ready to do yet. So since Mountain Metro was willing to give up those funds, they still have the need. Maybe they could give up the equivalent of 40,000 of RTA funds back to us if possible. It's
And that whole PPRTA conversation is, all I'm saying is this committee and this
Has nothing
process
to do
has no authority over that.
Right.
So you give back the money to this pot, and whether or not anything happens
Correct.
outside of this meeting, we have no control over, and we can't vote on or do
Yeah,
anything
and I
about.
would actually recommend that we have those discussions with the other agencies outside of this meeting, and I'm sure that
Sure.
you could do so immediately following, so since we're
So then-
physically in the same house.
So I guess I would amend the existing proposal to remove the 40,000 from us to go ahead and put it into Mountain Metro's request.
Okay, so that would change Mountain Metro's federal award to $590,000 and make yours for the Chase Bank Transit Hub 0.
Correct.
All right, any further discussion? All right, Joe, would you like to restate that in the form of
Sure.
a motion,
I
please?
make a motion to amend the proposed TIP amendment to zero out Manitou's proposed MMOF funds and to shift those to be reflected in Mountain Metro's total.
And to be clear, that is only shifting the amounts for tip ID 2023-004, I'm sorry, 044 Chase Bank Transit Hub. You would be maintaining the $50,000 recommended for award for the Serpentine area improvements, correct?
Correct. Longest motion ever, but yes,
Okay.
that's the one.
All right. Do I have a second from anyone?
This is Ben Schmidt from City of Woodland Park. I second.
All right, great. All in favor, say aye.
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 Any opposed, say nay. All right, great. So we'll, I'm sure Danelle will get that modified and sent out with that change. Thank you. Moving on to our second action item. It is to set the infrastructure condition and system performance target setting. I really appreciate you resending out the links to the presentations we've had in October and December preparing this. But Danelle, if you want to introduce this item, please.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. Yeah, there's been a bit of a delay between the original presentations from CDOT and this. We had to push it a little for board priorities. So the board just heard the informational item this month. We do need to either support or create our own targets as the MPO for the Pikes Peak region. And our staff recommendation is to support the state targets at this time. In the past, we've also supported the state targets. They are in your memo. I can go through them if you would like me to, or pull up that past presentation. Do you have any questions at this time? Are you interested in more information at all?
I know that I do not have any because you were able to send out that information from our previous presentations and just to have a good review on where we were previously. And I don't know that we have other data to base different targets on at this point. So I'm going to open it up to the members of the TAC, but I would recommend that we consider these state set targets as our targets for PPACG. Anyone else have anything else to add? All right, then great. I would be looking for a motion then to approve this item as presented in our packets.
Victoria, so moved.
This is Len. I second.
All right, all in favor say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All opposed say nay. Great, motion carries. I have too many screens open. Moving on to our informational items, starting with CDOT updates.
Hello, this is Kathleen Collins from CDOT Statewide and Regional Planning. The report from Denver is that we have a new chief engineer, Keith Stefanik. And then also to let you know that Darius Pakbaz is the acting director of transportation development, filling in for Rebecca White, who left CDOT last month. And he's acting until a replacement is found for that position. Those are the only two items I have. Rob or Jeff or Lachelle, any updates?
Yeah, I'll go ahead and start. I'm sure Lachelle will have some as well. Jeff is possibly. My only other updates would be, as you know, Shane Ferguson's now our RTD. He was the North Program Engineer. We're in the process of filling that position currently. And same thing with our region planning position. We're in the process of trying to get that filled as well. I have noted here TAP. I don't know, Lachelle, if you want to speak to where we are on the TAP process. Lachelle, I'm not sure. Is Lachelle still there?
She appears to be on the screen, but she's muted, or maybe she's frozen, actually.
She's really good at freeze tag.
I don't want to speak for her, but I know the call for projects has been sent out. I know drafts are due, I believe in March, early March. I don't know if Matt Pettit's on there as well, if he's as well versed, but you all should have been given an update on that. But hopefully she'll jump on, and or if you have questions, you can put it in the chat and we'll get back to you.
Okay. Yeah. And Jeff, I actually attended one of the 2 mandatory pre-submittal meetings earlier this week. The drafts are due to Lachelle by March 24th. And I believe the selection is on or about April 21st. There is a second opportunity for that mandatory pre-application meeting. So I can't recall if I think it's Tuesday or Wednesday next week. So if you need that information, that can be provided if you need to attend.
It is Wednesday, the 22nd.
Perfect. Thank you. Oh, and now Lachelle's unfrozen. I think we got you covered, Lachelle. It was about the TAP applications.
Oh, okay, good. Sorry, I lost internet just at the right time.
Okay, great.
Madam Chair.
Yes.
So, Lachelle, if you don't mind me lobbing you a softball, at least that's the intent. We have a lot of new folks sort of around the table from the different jurisdictions. The Transportation Alternatives Program, or TAP funds, are for multimodal type projects, and the money comes in from the feds and it's divvied up into different pots. There's a pot that comes directly to PPACG, and we have our PPACG process. But the money you're distributing here is the money that comes into the state and then is distributed to the different regions. So the question is, this is your regional pot, and it can be anywhere within region 2. So you can be inside the MPO, outside the MPO. Everyone is working for those funds. Is that correct? Or is there some sort of geography we need to be aware of for these dollars?
Can everybody hear me?
Yes, yes, we
Okay,
can.
Great, thank you. So yes, you're right, John, that's exactly right. This is for the whole region. There's 2.7 million roughly for years 24, 25, and 26 that the whole region is lobbying for. And I apologize that my internet went out, but the draft applications are due March 24th. And it looks like Jeff put my email in the chat there. Thank you. The draft applications are due to me. Please send those to me. We need to, as a TAC, decide who if it's not going to be Madam Chair, if it's someone else that's going to be representing the MPO on the final committee, the final voting committee. So we need to establish who that person is going to be. And there have been TPRs that would like to have a workshop of their own in their own TPR. And so you're welcome to do that as well. I'm looking at the week of April 3rd. So we would get the draft applications by March 24th. That would give CDOT a week to kind of review those, make sure everything looks good. There are no fatal flaws. And then the week of April 3rd, if we would like to get together as for like a pre-workshop, kind of look at the applications that have been submitted, even go through a scoring of our own, we can certainly do that. Or we can leave it in the hands of our representative that we establish that's going to be on that final committee.
Okay. Yes.
So just to answer one of Lachelle's questions, as far as who the region representative would be on that committee, that would actually, we interpret the rule that would actually be Mayor Sharon Thompson as the chairperson of PPACG as a whole. Now, she can delegate that, and she can either delegate it to myself or Jess or Danelle, or if you really want to do it, we could even ask Gail as the chair of the TAC to do it. But we haven't had those conversations yet, so just wanted to make sure that's not something we need to do now.
Okay.
In fact, it's not even our authority to make that decision. It lies higher.
Okay, great. Can we make sure, however, that it is on the PPACG board's agenda to make that selection at their upcoming meeting.
Yeah.
So because then the timing that Lachelle's talking about getting together, we want somebody established in March so we can participate, or somebody can participate in April.
Yeah, and again, the way we've interpreted the rules is it's actually Sharon Thompson and then her as assigned. So it doesn't actually need to be something that's on the agenda, but we could certainly.
All right. And, but
Do
if
that,
she,
and
if
so
she
everybody-
chooses to delegate that authority to somebody, that would be good to know in advance
Yep.
to get that on their schedule. So.
Yeah, we'll reach out to her. So in
Perfect.
fairness, we haven't done that yet. So
Perfect.
she doesn't know that she has a decision to make.
Well, I didn't know this was a thing until Lachelle brought it up as well. So thank you. I appreciate that. I guess that's why we're doing these updates. Lachelle, I did have one other question. So that's the final selection, but you were actually recommending a workshop similar to we have for applications within PPACG. And you would want to know if we would be interested in conducting that here, correct? That was the other part of your question?
Yes, that's right.
Okay, I would be, I'd like to open up the discussion for the rest of the members of the TAC. I think that the workshop would be valuable if we could get that set up. Unless, no one's going to put any applications in other than me. And I knew you would. I was just waiting for you to pipe up. Okay, so, Danelle, could you work with Lachelle on her possible dates and put a doodle poll together for that first week in April so we can have that workshop, please?
I will. Yeah.
Thank you. Yes, Jason.
Lachelle, I just had one quick, this is Jason Palmer. Like I said, one quick question. Is it 2.7 million total for those, all three of those years or each individual? Each individual year?
Yes.
Okay.
That's right. Yeah.
Thank you.
But I think it's amongst 14 counties. Is that the
That's also
geography?
right. Yeah.
So 2.7 over 14 counties. So
Yeah, and I actually was able to sit in on the pre-application meeting. I would really encourage you, if you're even thinking about applying for the money, to learn about it. And even if you're not going to apply this time, still to participate in this pre-application meeting to learn more about the shift on scoring for future awards and the linkage to land use. And it's a pretty interesting discussion, and it's pretty thought provoking. And it's honestly, the show, I felt like it was still a little unclear, but I think it's still being worked out as a criteria. But it's good to know the direction that if things are going to be looked at in the future.
Yes, absolutely. Thank you. And there is another pre-application meeting next Wednesday at 1 p.m. And this is a mandatory pre-application meeting. So if you are planning to put in an application, please attend. You didn't have to attend both. You just have to attend one of them. There's another one next week. Madam Chair is absolutely right. There is a little bit new. They're going to added another scoring criteria that's new to us, and so it's not real rigid right now, but I'm getting more information. I had a meeting with headquarters yesterday just to even get some more information about that, so I'll be sending that out as well.
Perfect. Thank you, Lachelle. Any other updates from CDOT? Yes, Jeff.
Thanks, Madam Chair. Let me lower my hand. I just wanted to throw out there on this morning's Transportation Commission's consent agenda, their proposed resolution number 5, which passed, was for the town of Palmer Lakes MMOF project, the Colorado 105 Main Street design, to have their local match eliminated to 0%.
Oh, that's fantastic
Thank you.
news.
Great. I didn't know. It's great.
That is great. Perfect. Anything else from CDOT? All right, moving on to the IIJ updates and other funding opportunities.
Okay, I don't have a lot of new information. We do have the Revitalizing Main Streets Grant Opportunity 2 has been the first deadline to submit applications was actually about 2 weeks ago, but I know that they are on a rolling kind of schedule and have revitalized that program. There is also a FTA Areas of Persistent Poverty program that has been announced. The deadline for that is March 10th. In-house here at PPACG, we have hired a grant navigator, a regional grant navigator. Jill Gabler has been selected to fill that role for us. So we'll be working with her over the next few months to reach out to jurisdictions and try to figure out what people's needs are and hopefully match up some projects to potential funding opportunities. As part of that program, we've also held back some money. What we're looking at doing is developing an on-call list for technical assistance. So we'll put out an RFP for firms to basically say, yes, we'd like to be on your on-call list. These are our areas of expertise. And so once we get to a point where actual applications are being put together, if there are specific questions about, say, a wastewater item or a specific type of grant opportunity, we can reach out to those people on our on-call list and hopefully provide some more detailed assistance that way.
Okay, great. I would just recommend that when you do that, one of the requests is to get folks to do a benefit costs analysis, which is always required in a specialized service. I'm sure that none of us really keep that in-house. All right.
That's a great idea.
Anything else from members of the TAC?
Hey, Danelle,
Yes,
is this the kind of thing where you would just, whoever wants to would add their name, or would you guys review and have it be like evaluated type thing? Or is it just, here's a list of people that reached out to us, you can reach out to them?
we are, so Andy has kind of a priority list of folks that he's talked with from the city, town and county managers meeting and the board. And we're kind of just working our way down from those folks to all of the jurisdictions. Once we get a better idea of how many projects there are out there, I think there's probably going to be some prioritization that happens, but we're not sure how that's going to happen yet.
Well, John, so one of the reasons why I ask is, DOLA, if you want to have your engineering services covered by DOLA grants, they have to be competitively evaluated. So we couldn't just pull from a list unless that list was evaluated and like the top 3 of a panel were selected, then
Gotcha.
then those expenses would be eligible for reimbursement. So that nuance would be really important to know.
Right, and also making sure the right federal clauses are included in that solicitation, even if it's federally, or even if it's going through the procurement
Yeah,
process.
because if it is, then it really could save some time. It's basically, CDOT does this with their NPS contracts, and it's a very similar process. And that would be nice to know, because then we can just call, we know they're a qualified firm, they've gone through the qualifications, whatever, and then we can just write a scope of work with them and go on our way. So for us smaller ones, it would be a nice benefit.
Okay. Andy and Jill and I are actually going to meet with this DOLA state folks that DOLA's paying for this effort across the state. We're going to be meeting with them on the 28th, I believe. And so we can take that question up there to them and see how we can work that to benefit everybody.
Great. Any other questions or comments? All right, thank you. Dan, I don't know if Dan Hunt was on. I didn't see him. Oh my gosh. There.
You're not used to
Come on
people
up.
being in
I'm
person.
not. Yes, please.
We
Come on
can't
up.
hear you from there.
And you need to be recorded. Thank you.
Here we go. All right. So my name is Dan Hunt. I'm a resident engineer with the Colorado Department of Transportation. And one of the projects I have is the MANSIP, which is the Military Access Mobility Safety Improvement Project. So I'm going to start with, there's 5 components in that MANSIP. And I'm going to start with 94. So 94 was broken into 2 phases. Phase 1, we did some westbound passing lanes, and those were completed in 2021 at the end of that year. And phase 2 right now is the jug handle. And I don't know, do we have this? Did I send this? Is there a way we could show that and people can kind of see it?
So Dan, while we're waiting, that I heard a rumor you were retiring. Is that true?
I am.
When's your last day at CDOT?
What's that?
When's your last day at CDOT?
February 28th. 31 years, so.
We will miss you. I was gonna have another question about what kind of jug is it? Is it like a moonshine jug handle? But
Well, it's.
it's there now. We're okay.
It kind of isn't, we call it a jug handle. A lot of people are kind of confused about that, but, so the reason we did that is there's waste management up there. And so the trash trucks that are going up that hill would stay in the passing lane so they can make a left to go north on Blaney. And that was creating all kinds of traffic accidents and issues, safety issues. So we put the jug handle in there and they can stay in the right lane going up that hill, then take the jug handle and kind of go clockwise around. And then there's a signal there. So that will give them access to go north on Blaney. So it gets those trash trucks out of that passing lane. It makes it a lot safer situation. So, and that one's almost complete. We got the traffic signal poles that we're waiting on, and we anticipate mid-March to get those up, and that project will be complete. But everything else is done. The next project is Charter Oak Ranch Road, which is off of Santa Fe. At the Fountain Interchange, and that is an entrance to Fort Carson's Gate 19. And we did a lot of improvements on that road. You can see the roundabout we put at the intersection of Santa Fe and Charter Oak. And you can kind of see in the lower left there before that road was just a mess. It was so pothole and unsafe, and so you can see what we kind of done on the right on the after. So, and that project is complete. We got a little bit of sidewalk to finish and a little bit of retaining wall, but as far as that project is, it's been paved out. It's all striped and ready to go. So, and Fort Carson is very pleased, and there's talk about a ribbon cutting for that, but we're kind of letting them kind of run with that because it's really not a CDOT facility. It's really a El Paso County road. So those are the two that we really got complete. So the big one that you guys probably have seen is the I-25 one, the rehab. And the reason we did that project is you can kind of see the before pavement, and it was just awful. It was really unsafe and lots of cracking and lots of sealing done by our maintenance guys, and they just couldn't keep up with it. And the reason that was happening is about 5 to 7 inches down, there's a bad layer of asphalt. So we can just keep overlaying and overlaying as much as we want, and we still get that after like 4 or 5 years. So and where we're at now is you can see southbound, it's in progress. You can see the lower left, we got concrete pavement. It's a white topping, an 8-inch white topping that we put over the concrete that will bridge that bad layer of asphalt. And we have 12-foot shoulders, they're asphalt. So when we do come in and do future, maybe at a lane, that's a little easier to work with. It's a less money on its throwaway. And so all southbound is done. That's completely done. And so we moved southbound back over there, but on the outside. And so northbound will be moved head to head like it was before. Probably, I think they're looking in late spring. Then you'll see a lot of the same activity that you saw for southbound. And so this is really more of a safety project, wider shoulders, safer for our state patrol, safer for people to, if they get a flat, to change a flat tire. So it's just a safety issue. And then we got median barrier all the way. So when we get those crossovers, we were getting some pretty severe crossovers. And when that would happen, it was really, really severe accidents. So we got median barrier all the way, and we'll tie into what we've done south of Fountain Interchange. So all the way from South Academy, all the way south of Fountain, we'll have median barrier in there. So then also part of this project, we're replacing the bridges, the I-25 bridges over South Academy. We got phase 1 done. We got southbound on that. We just demoed part of it. So we're starting phase 2 right now. And so that we just demoed that. So we're just really in the beginning construction parts of that. And what's unique about this is kind of the limits of the I-25 EA. So we're able to build that bridge out to 3 lanes with 12-foot shoulders, but we can only stripe it for 2 because we just don't have 3 lanes south or north. So then when we do, so we won't have to even touch that bridge. So that'll be already in place. So that's then one more component is the South Academy widening from I-25 up to Milton Probry approximately. And so the design is complete. So that's an El Paso County project. They have a little bit of federal money in that. So CDOT is we're kind of helping the county go through the CMGC process right now. And so where they're at now is they're really starting to really get down to finalizing the plans, specs, quantities, make sure everybody's working with the same quantities. And then we'll start doing some price negotiations. So we'll do some cost models, then we'll get to a point where we'll have an agreed price with the contractor. And that's when we'll award it and notice to proceed. Then when we get notice to proceed, CDOT is kind of out of it. We're not gonna manage the construction. The county will hire somebody to do that. But there's still requirements because there's some federal money. So we'll follow the LA local agency manual on that. So that's pretty much an update. You're going to see a lot of progress on I-25 this year. And we're still looking at completing construction in the middle of 2024. And it's really the bridge, the I-25 bridge over Academy. It's really driving the schedule for that. And then I think South Academy widening, they're wanting to start an NTP in May, and hopefully they can start in June. And I think they're looking at, probably most of 2024, maybe early 2025 before that's done. So, and the South Academy widening, they're just adding a lane in each direction and some noise walls. So I think that's all I have, unless somebody has some questions.
Thank you, Dan. I appreciate you coming and giving us that update.
No problem.
All right, going back over to our agenda.
While you're calling up the agenda, thanks, Dan, for 20 years of service to the region and CDOT. It's been a pleasure working with you. So good luck.
Good, thank you.
All right, member entity announcements. I know we had one member put something in the chat. Becky, I don't know that you were able to rejoin us.
I'm still here.
Okay, great. Do you want to give us your announcement?
Sure, just wanted to, really the only update that we've got going on right now is that we are welcoming a new clerk to the town, which of course, being this small, when we do something like that, it ends up being a 50% turnover of our administrative staff. So we've had a really busy but successful last 3 to 4 weeks with that transition. Nate was a really great clerk. He left to pursue another opportunity, and we have filled that position. And Bo's got a couple of weeks under his belt. You may hear from him. He'll be starting to be involved and engaged in some more of our stuff. Outside of that, just wanted to thank everybody for their patience. And I know that I haven't been the best attendee of things lately, but we're getting our feet back under us, and let us know if there's anything we can do to help.
Okay, great. Thanks, Becky. Appreciate it. Any other announcements for member governments that are online? All right, hearing none, I'm going to go around the room. Monument. Sheila, welcome. Good to meet you in person. Good chance. Joe, Lynn.
We have a couple positions open. One is the planning supervisor, which is open until the 19th. And we also have a fleet coordinator position that's currently open. So if you know anyone that might be interested, please encourage them to check the city's website. Thank you.
Thanks. Jason, nothing? I have nothing else to add as well. So any other items for future TAC meetings? I think we talked about one item, just a standing item with the LRTP. Any other suggestions? Yes, Dole.
Actually, I was going to ask Will if he's heard about the streetlight contract, if that's been executed yet or not.
Yes.
Okay.
I think
For those of you scoring at home, the answer was yes.
Okay.
Thank you.
Anything else? All right, then I think our meeting is adjourned. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it, and we will see you again next month.